All right, Florida officials, Republicans are, boy, they really pissed off with the NAACP's travel advisory. They have been angry, mocking it. Not only that, other Republicans have joined in. You've had idiots like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who said Dr. King would never do such a thing. Clearly, that idiot has never actually read or heard Dr. King, especially the April 3rd, 1968 speech at Mason Temple, where he talked about redistributing the pain, where he talked about withholding our dollars. It's interesting, Shannon, to look at this reaction from Republicans in Florida, because it's not like first of all, the NAACP did not call for a boycott of Florida. They issued a travel advisory. Launching a statewide boycott is a whole other different thing, but you also have a lot of pissed off Latinos in that state as well, and you got lots of truckers who are saying that they're going to be taking any goods to Florida. So Ron DeSantis, in all of his culture wars in his effort to try to out-Trump Trump to get the GOP nomination, it could lead to some serious issues in the Sunshine State.
So we keep talking about Ron DeSantis in terms of politics and Republican and ultra-conservative far right and all that. But we need to be talking about Ron DeSantis in terms of a poster child for the need for appropriate mental health care in this country. From a political perspective, for you to say you're going to announce that you're running for president and you're going to do things to alienate the black folk, the brown folk, the Jewish folk, the LGBTQ folk, and a whole other list of folks, and think that you could win, forget the nomination. It may not be that hard to beat Trump in the primary. Well, I'll leave that there. But going forward in the general, if you have set yourself up as the most anti-everything, there's no way you're winning in the general. So from a political perspective, this ain't politics. This is stupidity. Because the goal of politics is to set yourself up in policy and practice and procedure to actually be able to win a race, not just a primary, but a general. And this ain't that.
I mean, I don't know, Torun. I mean, bottom line is work for Trump. Other Republicans have run this way. We're in their culture battles. They're attacking everybody. If you're transgender, if you're Black Lives Matter, if you, I mean, whatever, they don't care. And the bottom line is the Republican Party, they are appealing to white conservative voters, especially those who are not college educated.
You know, with all due respect to my sister, we can't really deny the fact that that strategy just might work. I mean, a lot of people said that Trump was not going to win in 2016, but there are a lot of silent
supremacy. I always said it, and I'll say it.
There are a lot of silent white supremacists who will go into the booth and pull the lever for Trump or DeSantis, and they'll never tell you that. We have to be very careful about the fact that there are people who really believe in the things this man says. And even if he doesn't win, what they can do, and it's what I tell people all the time, when you go to local elections, when you go to state elections, even if he doesn't win the nomination, if he gets enough of a groundswell to start moving people into like state houses, into the legislatures, into the judicial positions and everything, you can pretty much legislate from the states without even having to go to the White House, and that's dangerous as well. There are people out there that support this, and we got to be aware of that.
You know, Larry, somebody sent me this TikTok video of this guy. He was on social media, and he had a whole lot to say about Latinos and whites who have voted for Ron DeSantis. Watch this.
It always happens when you buy into white supremacy. I always said it, and I'll say it again. The fucking state of Florida. The state of Florida is becoming a fucking sundown town. You're not a straight white Christian male, and he's going for them too. Everybody's civil liberties and constitutional rights are being affected. Let me tell you something. You guys always say it's gerrymandering and all that shit why I got elected. No, 68% of Cubans voted for DeSantis. 58% of Puerto Ricans, 53% of all Latinos voted for DeSantis. God knows how many white ignorant motherfuckers you buy into white supremacy. You don't care. It's not your problem. You're a fucking idiot. It is your fucking problem. White supremacy affects everybody, not just black people, not just brown people, not just indigenous people, everybody. Now you elected a fucking fascist in the state of Florida. Now you got to deal with your civil liberties being violated. Now you got to deal with businesses, industries being shut down because they can't find any fucking labor. And now, magically, Latinos give a fuck. Latinos didn't give a fuck when he was anti-black with his anti-woke policy. You didn't give a fuck. Now that it's anti-immigration, now you give a fuck. Well, guess what? You got what you fucking voted for. You fucking idiots. Not all Cubans, Dixon. Not all Puerto Ricans, Dixon. Not all white people, Dixon. I know, not all, but too fucking many. The majority of your people voted for fascism. The majority of your people voted for white supremacy. That's the fucking problem. You don't care. You haven't done anything to address it. Address the fucking problem. Hold your people accountable. I'm half Cuban. I know. It's in my own fucking family. Some of them, I know what it's like in the fucking Cuban community. I've seen it with my own fucking eyes. The other half is white. God knows the white supremacy and ignorance racially that operates in my white community. Hold your people accountable so that you don't have this kind of fucking bullshit. I'm not saying Democrats aren't racist, but fuck, man, they're not going to these extremes to normalize white supremacy and to normalize fascism, pass legislation that is directly anti-immigrant, anti-gay, anti-black, and coming for every other liberty that you have. My God, people are fucking ignorant. I've always told you people, white supremacy hurts everybody. No one is free until we all are free. And there is no freedom in America until white supremacy is dismantled. What happens when you buy into white supremacy? I always said it.
Well, he was not particularly happy, but he sort of made it plain, Larry.
It reminds me of kind of things that he ran down is chickens come home to roost of everybody else. When you participate in anti-blackness and you're from a minoritized background, it comes full circle. The example he kind of highlighted was this, this kind of e-verify. If you were to prove that you're a U.S. citizen, you're documented, you can work in the state of Florida. If you have anyone in your car who's undocumented, you get caught. It is a felony now in the state. So once again, what comes around goes around. And his points he made about other groups supporting DeSantis and voting me in, and then all the policies we've seen is accurate. And once again, Roland, we talked about all these issues relating to anti-blackness, particularly not just in brown. We're talking about black communities, but the brown communities in terms of they're being okay with a lot of these policies. And now they're finding out, well, you know what? You're non-white, so welcome to the party. But the bottom line is we have to continue in the state of Florida and throughout the United States. We have to fight against these policies. I'm certainly on the front lines of dealing with this as a black male professor in the state. But these challenges are going to continue unless, once again, we come together and we fortify the front and we fight these right-wing policies. Otherwise, we're going to continue to lose the state and other states in the nation.
But here's the deal, Shannon. I mean, the reality is what DeSantis is doing. He is doing it with the complete approval of the Republican legislature, where they control the legislature. They have a majority, a supermajority, veto proof. They control it. We see the same thing in North Carolina and other states as well. The Republican Party is saying we're perfectly fine with what we're seeing.
Well, clearly not every member of the Republican Party. I ain't all right with it at all. So, and again, when we lump these issues into, which I'd be politically correct a little bit, when we lump these issues into a political party, we overlook the fact that racism and stupidity does not have a lock on either party. It's in all the parties. So when you look at the things that DeSantis is doing, it's about more than just this one policy. And I have to say, I agree with this. The time to have stopped him from doing the things that he's doing was when it was just, quote, black folk as the target. But now that worked, now we're going to expand it to include other groups. But again, I say, this is not a logical sound, even from a political perspective, which is where everyone seems to want to look at it. It is not a logical model. It's not a logical plan.
But the party, but the entire party rallied around Donald Trump, and there wasn't nothing logical about that, and he won. And the reality is, the candidates who are running, their whole deal is we got to be as nutcase as he was, because hey, the GOP voters clearly they approve of it.
Okay, I would disagree with you on that. Fool me once, 2016. Okay, didn't fool me twice. And I doubt would fool me a third time.
But guess what? Look, we right now we're watching Republicans in Texas literally try to get rid of the elections administrator in one county in the entire state because they're pissed off that it's blue, Harris County. We are watching them. We're watching the bills being passed. We're watching Republicans in Mississippi create a separate police force, expanded police force, and a separate court system in the area of Jackson where most of the white people live, because they claim it's about increasing crime in Jackson, but they don't want to give Jackson more funding. They want to take over a lot of the police function and the court system. We're seeing the exact same thing in North Carolina in terms of where Republicans, in terms of how they're moving. You're looking in Iowa, where you got the attorney general there who says, "Hey, if you're a woman who gets raped or somebody's committed incest, we're not going to provide you any resources for abortion. You just got to suck it up." The Republican Party is saying across the country, we're fine with this.
Again, you're generalizing.
No, I'm not.
Kind of like,
I just offered you literally 5 states.
Because you don't want, not one black person on this panel, none of you would want everybody to say, well, all black people do this or all black people do that. Because we are not all one person.
Shannon, first of all, hold on, Shannon, factually, I didn't say all. But the facts are fundamentally clear. I literally named 5 states. I could name 10 more. We have in Montana, where Republicans in Montana literally voted to silence an elected official who is transgender because she dared criticize one of their bills. They silenced a non-binary sister in Oklahoma. That's the Republican Party as well. We saw what the Republican Party did in Tennessee. I've now named 8 states. You want me to name more? I am literally naming you things that Republicans are doing. Texas, Florida,
almost
Mississippi,
everything
Tennessee,
you have named.
Iowa, North Carolina. I mean, we can keep going.
Almost everything that you've named are the same type of issues we're having here in Maryland. And Republicans in Maryland ain't been in control of nothing in a long dang time. Okay. So as I said before, these issues are everywhere and they are not just one party. When you do a Google search, just do a Google search, forget from a political perspective, of the most gerrymandered states in the country, Maryland's in the top 5. Republicans don't control nothing in Maryland and haven't in a long time. When you look at folks trying to talk about removing folks from elections because what color the county may be, that happens in Maryland as well. Ain't no Republicans in charge. My point is this. Yes, you have cited examples of Republicans doing it, but it is not just Republicans. And if we want to fight these issues, we need to fight them wherever they are and from whomever they come from.
Hey, Roland, can I tell?
Yeah, Larry, go ahead.
So I want to highlight a couple of things. The 2-term Governor Hogan former Governor Hogan was a Republican for 2 terms. So I might want to add that caveat in the state of Maryland. And also, I want to highlight.
Does that mean Maryland's still not listed as one of the top 5 gerrymandered states?
Let me highlight a point. I haven't seen those stats. But let me ask you another point as a researcher. You cannot use Google as a data point. So let me highlight that. It's not effective and it's not a correct data point. The other thing I want to highlight is Roland, as he said, he went through a series of states that have passed or passing anti-LGBTQ, anti-Black policies, and have not even blinked. So what we're talking about is once folks are trying to bring us back to Jim Crow based on some of these policies, to undermine democracy, to limit what books, the curriculum in schools and post-secondary institutions, to limit a woman's opportunity to decide what they want to do with their body, among the other harmful policies. They're not only anti-Black, anti-LGBTQ, but in the state of Florida, also anti-business.
Ron, comment before I go to break.
Bottom line is, look, the Republican Party, whether we like it or not, they play dirty and they do not care about playing dirty. And I have said this to people who work on campaigns more than once. People who are on the Democratic side got to learn that you're in a war. Whether you want to be in a fight or not, if somebody keeps slapping you in the face, you're in a fight. So you better learn to fight, and you better learn how to go to the people with the fight you want to take it to and start pushing back that way. You can't intellectualize your way out of the situation that's coming.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff.
So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.